When we try to lose weight, we always have these questions. Why do I gain weight so easily? Even though I exercise, why does my body fat stay the same? When I lose fat, where does it actually go? Today, I'll give you clear and scientific answers to these questions. We'll talk about how fat is stored in your body and how it gets burned off. Once you understand this process, losing weight will become much easier. Our bodies get energy from the food we eat. Carbohydrates, proteins, and fats are digested and then transported throughout the body via the bloodstream. Your body uses only as much energy as it needs at that moment. But any leftover energy doesn't just disappear. Our bodies are smart. They store this extra energy. First, some of it is stored temporarily as glycogen in your liver and muscles. But once these storage sites are full, the remaining energy is converted into fat and stored in fat cells. Simply put, your body stores unused calories as emergency food, just like putting leftovers in the fridge. But this fridge can keep expanding with no real limit. At first, it might seem harmless, but if you keep adding more, it eventually overflows. That's the real picture of how body fat increases. The stored fat is mainly in the form of triglycerides, which accumulate in fat cells. These fat cells are concentrated under your skin and around your abdominal organs. The real problem is visceral fat. It's not just about how you look. Visceral fat can actually cause serious health issues like metabolic syndrome, diabetes, and heart disease. For men, excess visceral fat often leads to a hard, protruding belly. For women, it's common to gain belly fat, especially after menopause. You may not see this hidden fat, but it directly threatens the function of your internal organs. Body fat doesn't just increase because you eat a lot. When you overeat or don't exercise enough, your intake exceeds your energy expenditure. When you frequently snack or eat sugary foods, your blood sugar rises often. The hormone insulin moves leftover glucose and fatty acids into fat cells for storage. Fat cells can grow up to 4 times their original size. When they can't get any bigger, the fat cells divide to store even more fat. Once you have more fat cells, their number doesn't decrease. When you lose weight, the fat cells only shrink in size, but their number stays the same. So if you overeat again or stop exercising, fat can build up much more quickly. That's why maintaining your weight is harder than losing it. Especially if the number of fat cells increases during childhood, it becomes easier to gain weight as an adult. Many people think this. When I exercise, fat leaves my body as sweat. If I do strength training, my fat turns into muscle. But that's not because the fat turned into muscle. When you start exercising or reduce your calorie intake, your body receives a signal that it needs to start using stored energy. At this point, the triglycerides stored in your fat cells are broken down into fatty acids and glycerol by an enzyme called lipase. These fatty acids then travel through your bloodstream to muscles and other tissues that need energy. Inside your cells, specifically in the mitochondria, these fatty acids are combined with oxygen and burned for fuel. This process is known as fatty acid oxidation, or more specifically, beta oxidation. As a result, fat is fully broken down into energy, carbon dioxide, and water. For example, if you take a gentle 30-minute walk, your body initially uses blood sugar for energy, but after about 10 minutes, it gradually shifts to burning more fat. Especially when you exercise in the morning before eating, when your carbohydrate stores are low, your body turns to fat for fuel more quickly and efficiently. Where does the broken down fat go? Carbon dioxide is exhaled when we breathe out. Water leaves the body through sweat, urine, and even tears. In fact, according to research, when fat is burned, about 84% leaves the body through the breath and 16% as water. That's right. Every time we breathe out, we're actually burning fat. If you lose 10 kilograms of body fat, about 8.4 kilograms leave your body through breathing, while only 1.6 kilograms are excreted through sweat, urine, and other fluids. In other words, The more you get out of breath and exhale during exercise, the more your body fat literally disappears into the air. Every time I walk, run, or work out, the more deeply I exhale, the more fat I'm actually losing. Even when exercise feels tough, every single breath I take is changing my body. When you keep this in mind, exercise becomes much more meaningful, because now you know that each breath is a step toward a leaner, healthier you. Let's clear up some common misconceptions. Fat doesn't leave the body only through sweat. It doesn't get eliminated through stool, either. And it doesn't turn into muscle. I often hear people say, "I did a lot of arm exercises and I lost fat instead of gaining muscle." But this doesn't mean the fat was converted into muscle by exercise. What really happens is that exercise uses energy and reduces fat, while at the same time muscle mass increases. Fat and muscle are completely different tissues. They cannot be converted into each other. So, how can we effectively reduce body fat? First, aerobic exercise is key. Walking, running, cycling, swimming, etc. are very effective in encouraging the body to use fat as fuel. Think about how every time you get out of breath and sweat during exercise, your fat is leaving your body through your breath. Even just 30 minutes to an hour a day, 3 to 5 times a week, can make a big difference. Second, a protein-focused diet helps prevent muscle loss and makes fat loss more effective. Adding strength training to this can yield even better results. Increasing muscle mass raises your basal metabolic rate, meaning you burn more energy, even at rest. By combining strength exercises like squats, push-ups, and planks, you can lose fat faster and prevent yo-yo effects. Muscle takes up less space than fat and creates a toned body. Small changes add up, making your body more naturally use fat as fuel. Third, consistency is the answer. It's not about a day or two. The key to fat loss is continuously creating an environment where fat is broken down and burned. Body fat is what's left over from the food we eat and gets stored. It is burned off through exercise and diet control and leaves the body through breath and water. Knowing this, dieting is not just about losing weight, but about understanding and managing how your body works. Fat is not the enemy. It's just leftover energy, and how we use it depends on our lifestyle. From today, step by step, remember that every breath you take is burning a little bit of fat. Exercise by breathing out one more time today. That one breath blows your body fat into the air. This has been Dear My Life.